In the next few moments, I want you to pay very close attention because what I'm about to share may explain something happening in your body right now that you've been ignoring without even realizing it. If you are over 50 and you've ever felt unusual fatigue, stubborn belly weight that won't move, or lightheadedness when you walk on an empty stomach, your body may be sending signals you should never dismiss. Before we go deeper, if this is the kind of health information you wish you had known earlier in life, take a second to like this video and subscribe. It helps more people receive this kind of guidance before small issues become serious problems. I'm speaking to you today not as a distant expert, but as a doctor who has seen these patterns in real people over and over again. Now let me ask you something important. Have you ever gone for a morning walk without eating anything, thinking it will help burn fat faster, especially around your belly? It sounds harmless, even beneficial. Many people believe this is a healthy shortcut for weight loss, especially after 50. But what most people don't realize is that your body changes significantly with age, particularly how it handles energy, blood sugar, and stress hormones. After 50, your metabolism is no longer as flexible as it once was. When you walk on an empty stomach, your body is forced to rely heavily on stored energy. For some people, that may sound like a good thing. But if your blood sugar is unstable, or your cortisol levels are already elevated due to stress or poor sleep, this practice can sometimes backfire in subtle ways. I've seen patients who were doing everything right on paper, walking daily, eating less, avoiding carbs in the morning, yet still struggling with stubborn belly fat and unexpected energy crashes. What they didn't realize was that their body was entering a stress response instead of a fat-burning state. And here is where it becomes even more important. The belly fat many people struggle with after 50 is not just about calories. It is deeply connected to insulin sensitivity, hormonal shifts, and inflammation. Walking on an empty stomach can influence all of these systems differently depending on your individual health status. Some people feel energized and light. Others feel shaky, dizzy, or unusually hungry later in the day. That difference is not random. It is your body communicating with you in real time. So today, I want to help you understand what is actually happening inside your body during those empty stomach walks, why belly fat becomes more stubborn with age, and what small adjustments can make a meaningful difference in how your body responds. Let's continue, because the next part may completely change the way you think about your morning routine. When you wake up in the morning, your body is already in a delicate balance. After hours of sleep, your blood sugar is naturally lower, your hydration is reduced, and your stress hormones like cortisol are often higher than usual. This is not a problem by itself. It is simply how your body prepares you to wake up and function. But when you immediately go for a walk without eating anything, especially after 50, your body has to work harder to stabilize itself. Most people don't realize this, but walking is not just a physical activity. It is a metabolic demand. Your muscles begin to require fuel, and if no food has been consumed, your body must decide where to get that energy from. In younger years, the body switches smoothly between energy sources. But as we age, this flexibility can decline. I've seen this in countless patients who feel off during fasted exercise but cannot explain why. They often assume it is normal aging, but in reality, it is the body signaling imbalance. What happens next is important. Your body may release stress hormones to maintain energy levels. In small amounts, this is completely normal. But if it happens repeatedly, it can influence how your body stores fat, particularly around the abdomen. This is why many people notice stubborn belly fat even when they are active. Now let's be clear. Walking on an empty stomach is not harmful for everyone. Some individuals with stable metabolism tolerate it very well. The concern arises when it becomes a daily habit without understanding your personal blood sugar response. I've had patients tell me, "Doctor, I walk every morning, and still my belly won't reduce. And when we look deeper, we often find skipped breakfasts, inconsistent sleep, and elevated stress levels all working together. The walk itself is not the problem. It is the combination of factors that changes how the body responds. Another important point is hydration. After sleep, your blood is slightly more concentrated, and without proper water intake, circulation becomes less efficient. This can contribute to feelings of dizziness or fatigue during fasted walks, especially in older adults. Your body is incredibly intelligent. It always tries to protect you first, even if that means temporarily slowing fat loss or conserving energy. Understanding this is the key to working with your body instead of against it. As we go further, I want you to start recognizing the subtle signals your body sends during these walks, because they often reveal more about your metabolic health than you might expect. One of the most overlooked aspects of walking on an empty stomach after 50 is how it affects your blood sugar stability throughout the day. Even if you are not diabetic, your body still relies on a tightly regulated balance of glucose to maintain focus, energy, and mood. When you walk without eating, your muscles begin using available glucose in the bloodstream. If your reserves are already low from an overnight fast, your body may compensate by releasing stored glucose from the liver. Again, this is a normal process, but the intensity of this response varies greatly from person to person. What I often see in practice is that people don't connect their morning routine with their afternoon symptoms. They may feel fine during the walk, but later experience sudden fatigue, irritability, or intense cravings for sugary foods. This is not weakness or lack of discipline. It is the body attempting to restore balance. After 50, insulin sensitivity can naturally decline in many individuals. This means the body may not handle glucose fluctuations as efficiently as before. When you add fasting exercise on top of that, the system can become more reactive. I've seen this pattern repeatedly in patients who are trying very hard to lose belly fat. They reduce calories, skip breakfast, and increase morning walks. Yet instead of steady progress, they experience plateaus or even weight gain around the midsection. This is often due to hormonal stress responses influencing fat storage. Now, I want to emphasize something very important. This does not mean morning walks are unhealthy. In fact, walking is one of the most beneficial forms of exercise for heart health, circulation, and mental well-being. The key is how your body responds to it in a fasted state. Some people thrive on it. Others need a small nutritional buffer before activity. A simple change like a light snack or proper hydration can completely shift how the body reacts. Another subtle factor is muscle preservation. After 50, maintaining muscle mass becomes increasingly important for metabolic health. If the body perceives low energy availability, it may begin conserving resources, which can affect muscle maintenance over time. This is why I always encourage patients to observe, not assume. Your body will tell you whether your routine is supporting it or stressing it. In the next part, I want to help you understand the hidden connection between cortisol, belly fat, and those early morning habits you may think are harmless, but could be shaping your long-term health in ways you haven't considered. There is a hormone in your body that plays a much bigger role in belly fat than most people ever realize. It is called cortisol, often known as your stress hormone, but that name doesn't fully explain what it does. Cortisol is not your enemy. In fact, you need it to wake up in the morning, stay alert, and respond to daily challenges. The problem begins when it stays elevated for too long or is repeatedly triggered by lifestyle habits your body interprets as stress. Walking on an empty stomach, especially after 50, can sometimes contribute to this stress response in sensitive individuals. Not because walking is harmful, but because your body is already in a fasting state, and then you add physical demand on top of it. I've seen this pattern many times in patients who are doing everything they believe is healthy. They are disciplined. They walk every morning. They eat carefully. Yet they still notice something frustrating, fat accumulating around the abdomen that refuses to go away. What most people don't realize is that cortisol has a direct influence on where your body stores fat. When cortisol is chronically elevated, the body tends to favor storing fat around the midsection. This is not random. It is a biological survival mechanism designed to protect energy reserves. After 50, your hormonal balance naturally shifts. Estrogen or testosterone levels may decline, sleep may become lighter, and stress tolerance often decreases. All of these factors can make your body more sensitive to cortisol fluctuations. Now imagine starting your day with an empty stomach, possibly after a restless night of sleep, and immediately placing physical demand on your body. For some individuals, this combination is perfectly fine. For others, it quietly adds up over time. The key insight here is not to avoid morning walks, but to understand your body's response to them. I often tell patients, your routine should reduce stress, not add invisible stress your body is forced to compensate for later. One of the earliest signs of this imbalance is not weight gain itself, but how you feel after your walk. If you notice irritability, sudden fatigue, or increased hunger later in the day, your body may be signaling that it is under more stress than you realize. And here is something even more important. Chronic cortisol elevation doesn't just affect belly fat. It can also influence sleep quality, blood sugar stability, and even immune function over time. This is why small adjustments matter so much. Something as simple as timing your walk differently, improving hydration, or having a light balanced snack beforehand can shift your body out of a stress response pattern. Your body is constantly adapting to your habits. The question is whether those adaptations are helping you feel stronger and more balanced, or slowly pushing you toward fatigue and stubborn weight patterns. In the next part, I want to show you how appetite, cravings, and energy crashes later in the day are often directly connected to what you do first thing in the morning, far more than most people ever suspect. Let me ask you something you may have never connected before. Have you ever had a perfectly healthy morning, maybe a fasted walk, maybe skipping breakfast, only to find yourself later in the day suddenly craving something sweet, feeling unusually tired, or reaching for extra snacks you normally wouldn't need? Most people assume this is about willpower, but in reality, your body is often responding to earlier metabolic stress signals that began hours before. After 50, your body becomes more sensitive to energy fluctuations. When you walk on an empty stomach, your system may initially cope well, but later it tries to restore balance. That compensation can sometimes show up as increased appetite, especially for quick sources of energy like sugar or refined carbohydrates. I've seen this repeatedly in patients who are confused and even frustrated. They say, "Doctor, I didn't even eat much in the morning, so why am I so hungry at night?" And when we trace their day backward, we often find a pattern of fasting activity combined with delayed eating. Your body does not forget energy demand. It records it and responds later when it feels safe to recover. Another important factor is blood sugar rhythm. When your morning energy is low, your body may release stress hormones to keep you going. Later, when those hormones drop, you may experience what feels like a sudden crash. This crash often triggers cravings, not because you lack discipline, but because your body is trying to quickly restore glucose levels. This is also where belly fat becomes part of the picture again. Repeated cycles of stress response followed by high cravings can influence insulin patterns over time, and insulin plays a key role in how your body stores or burns fat. I want to be very clear here. This is not about fear, and it is not about avoiding healthy habits like walking. Walking is one of the most beneficial things you can do for your heart, circulation, and mental clarity. The issue is how your body uniquely responds to it in a fasted state. Some people feel completely stable and energized. Others notice a ripple effect throughout the day. Neither is wrong. They are simply different metabolic responses. What I want you to take away from this is awareness. Your cravings are not random. Your energy dips are not just age. They are often feedback signals from a body trying to rebalance itself after earlier demands. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is simply observing your patterns without judgment. Notice how your morning choices affect your afternoon energy. Notice how your hunger changes when your body feels supported versus when it feels stressed. Because once you start seeing these connections, you stop blaming yourself and start understanding your biology. And in the next part, I'm going to explain something even more important: how these daily habits, repeated over years, quietly shape not just your weight, but your long-term metabolic health in ways most people only realize too late. What I'm about to share with you is something I wish more people understood earlier in life, because it changes the way you see everyday habits like walking, eating, and even resting. Your body does not respond to single actions. It responds to patterns repeated over time. A morning walk on an empty stomach once in a while is not the issue. Your body is built to handle short-term fluctuations. The real impact comes from what you do consistently every day for months or years. After 50, your metabolism naturally becomes more sensitive to stress, recovery time slows down slightly, and hormonal rhythms begin to shift. This doesn't mean your body is failing, it simply means it requires more balance and support than before. When fasted walking becomes a daily habit without proper fuel or recovery, your body may gradually adapt in ways that are not always visible at first. You might not notice anything dramatic. In fact, you may feel proud that you are staying active and disciplined. But internally, your body is constantly making adjustments to maintain stability. It prioritizes survival over fat burning, and when that happens repeatedly, some people begin to see slower metabolism, persistent belly fat, or inconsistent energy levels. I've seen this in many individuals who come to me feeling confused. They say, "Doctor, I do everything right. I walk every morning, I don't overeat, but my belly fat just won't go away." And what we often uncover is not a lack of effort, but a mismatch between effort and recovery. Because here is a truth most people don't hear often enough. Your body does not lose fat effectively when it feels stressed or underfueled for too long. It needs balance between activity and nourishment. Now, this does not mean you need to eat heavily before every walk. It simply means your body should not be repeatedly placed in a low-energy state without support, especially if you notice fatigue, dizziness, or strong cravings later in the day. Another important point is recovery. Sleep quality, hydration, and nutrient intake all influence how your body responds to exercise. When one of these is out of balance, the effects can quietly accumulate over time. Think of your metabolism like a rhythm. When that rhythm is stable, your body feels predictable, steady, and efficient. But when it is constantly pushed without recovery, it becomes more adaptive in a protective way, often holding on to energy rather than releasing it. The goal is not to stop walking. The goal is to make your walking routine work with your biology, not against it. And in the final part, I want to bring everything together into a simple understanding that can help you decide what your body truly needs, so you can stop guessing and start listening to the signals it has been giving you all along. If you've stayed with me this far, there's something important I want you to understand. Not just as a doctor, but as someone who has spent years watching how small daily habits quietly shape long-term health. Your body is always communicating with you. The question is whether you're able to recognize what it's saying in time. Walking on an empty stomach after 50 is not inherently good or bad. It is simply a stress on the body that produces different results depending on your metabolism, hormone balance, sleep quality, and nutritional status. For some people, it supports weight management and clarity. For others, it may contribute to fatigue, cravings, or stubborn belly fat over time. What matters most is not following a rigid rule, but understanding your own response. If you feel energized, stable, and clear after your morning walk, your routine is likely aligned with your body's needs. But if you notice dizziness, shakiness, unusual hunger later in the day, or frustration with belly fat that refuses to change, your body may be asking for a different kind of support. I've seen too many people blame themselves when their body doesn't respond the way they expect. But most of the time, it is not about discipline or effort. It is about timing, balance, and biological individuality. After 50, your body becomes more sensitive, but also more responsive to positive change. Even small adjustments can make a meaningful difference. Something as simple as hydrating properly before your walk, adjusting your walking intensity, or ensuring your first meal supports stable energy can help your system feel more balanced throughout the day. And I want you to remember this very clearly. Belly fat is not just about appearance. It is often a reflection of deeper internal signals, stress, hormones, sleep, and metabolic rhythm. When you start supporting those systems gently and consistently, your body often begins to respond in ways that feel more natural and sustainable. There is no need for extremes, no need for punishment, restriction, or fear. Your body is not working against you. It is working to protect you, even when the signals feel frustrating. The real transformation begins when you stop forcing your body into habits that don't match its current needs, and instead start listening to what it is quietly asking for. So I want to leave you with this thought. Before you change your entire routine, pause and observe it. Notice how you feel, not just during your walk, but hours after it. Your energy, your hunger, your mood, your comfort. Because in those subtle details, your body is already giving you the answers you've been searching for. And if this helped you understand your health in a clearer way, consider sharing it with someone you care about. Sometimes, the smallest awareness can prevent years of confusion later.